next guest is Tim Bono, who is a professor at WashU, and he's written a book that is getting a lot of attention all around the country. It's called When Likes Aren't Enough, a crash course in the science of happiness. Tim Bono, welcome Big 550 KTRS.
Thanks, it's my pleasure.
All right, so explain the premise of the book, When Likes Aren't Enough. Is this likes on Twitter, likes on Facebook?
Yes, we are referring to the likes that many people are chasing on social media. And in many ways, this book has its roots in a class that I teach at Washington University on the science of happiness. And it's a response to the fact that when you look at the issues that are affecting the mental health of young adults these days, over the last 5 or 6 years, there's been a significant increase in mental health concerns around depression and anxiety. And a lot of that seems to be associated with this obsession that many young adults have with their smartphones and with their social media presence and how many likes their Instagram posts are getting. And this isn't to say that we should do away with social media, but it is to say that when you should find that your obsession with social media is not quite leading you down the path to well-being that you would like it to, here are some strategies based from the field of psychology, which has identified the behaviors and mindsets that really can bring about the happiness that I think we all are looking for.
So you're a professor. There have been tech giants who have been in Twitter, who have been in Facebook, who have come out recently and said that we've designed the smartphone and these social media apps to be basically a slot machine.
That's exactly right. A part of what makes social media so addictive is the uncertainty factor, that when you log in, you never know if the posts that you're going to be seeing are going to be pleasant and something that makes you happy, or that crazy uncle's political rant, or something where you see pictures that make you envious that you don't get to have that experience. And it's the uncertainty that makes us more motivated to engage in the behavior and keep scrolling down just in case the next post is something positive.
It's almost like the Twilight Zone episode where it dings at you. And when it dings, you have a social response back. And so whether it's positive or negative feedback, the ding makes you act.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's that it's that classical conditioning where it becomes a habit, and that habit is reinforcing that behavior and making us wanting to do it more and more.
Are likes on social media a sugar high?
They are, yeah. They provide sort of a short-term instant dose of gratification, but unfortunately, in the long run, they don't really build the sustainable happiness that I think we're all looking for.
Why not advocate getting rid of social media or turning it off or getting rid of it? What benefit does social media give people?
Well, if social media is used correctly, it can be used for many wonderful things. So I'll give you an example. In the last couple of years, I come from this large Italian family. My cousins and I, who have sort of started our own lives and gone in our own paths, we recently have all found each other on social media. And now we spend more time with each other, that because of social media, we've been able to find each other. It's been a means toward an end of now we spend time in person with one another. So I think it can be useful, but we have to use it correctly. We have to use it appropriately, because for many people, it's the reverse, that they're modifying their social experiences, and their social experiences are the means toward the end of creating this digital persona that will capture attention and envy of others. And that's where it becomes problematic.
The book is called When Likes Aren't Enough, a crash course in the science of happiness. Recently, it's been revealed that Facebook has sort of changed their algorithms. And it's just the tip where the number of hours people watching Facebook have decreased significantly. What's going on? Is this a blip, or is this something real?
Oh, in terms of the amount of time that people are spending on Facebook?
Yeah.
So I don't know as much about that in terms of the amount of time. What we do seem to have evidence for is that the way that people are using it, especially when it becomes a vehicle for that social comparison. Social comparison is something that psychologists have known for a long time is a real detriment to our overall happiness, and that seems to be what's really the problem. It's not necessarily the number of hours, but when you're going on there, is it truly so that you're establishing connections that then lead to real, genuine, authentic connection with that person in person? Or instead, is it just going through this vicious thinking cycle of, well, here's another event I missed out on, and that person's life is so much better than mine.
Right.
That's where it becomes problematic.
And that is a real problem. It happens to me. You see a picture of somebody who can be having a terrible time. They say smile, they smile, and all of a sudden you feel bad that you're at a party that they're not even enjoying.
Right, but they have nonetheless created this persona to make it look like they're having a great time. And again, it's that disparity between a person's actual experience and what they're sort of putting out there in the world, that highlight reel, that causes those problems. Again, it's the idea that people are modifying their experience and making decisions with an eye toward what is the experience that's going to get me the picture that will allow me to have the best Instagram-worthy shot. That's where we're seeing problems with their mental health.
When likes aren't enough, a crash course in the science of happiness. Tim Bono.
That's it.
All right, I got a couple more minutes left. I go online and somebody writes or sends me an email or the most vile post humanly possible. And I reach out to them and I'm like, boy, that really wasn't very nice. And I get a response from them, oh, I didn't even know anybody reads this. Well, I'm sorry, I really didn't even think that. What do you call that?
Well, we know that when people are sending comments or messages from the comfort of their own home computer or on their phone, that there's this feeling of anonymity, that you don't feel as accountable for it. And that speaks to a part of the problem with communicating only through technology, is that so much of our ability to communicate effectively with another person has to do with the nonverbal communication, sort of that energy that takes place when you're actually occupying the same space as another person. And when you're doing that only with technology, you lose the pacing of the conversation, the tone of voice, and you also lose an understanding of how the other person is reacting to that so that you can sort of modify what you're saying. And so, yeah, that speaks to some of the dangers of just typing off something in a fury without really considering the implications of how that's actually going to affect another person.
So what are you telling us to do? Should we set it down for a day? Should we readjust? I mean, what are you telling us?
Yeah, so I think that my primary premise with the book is not to say that we should get rid of social media altogether. It can be used for many wonderful things when it's used under the correct circumstances. My point here is to say that if we can instead shift some of that time to, the next time that you have the temptation to reach for your phone and scroll through Instagram or Facebook, consider another of the behaviors that really are capable of bringing happiness. I think that's what we're all interested in, is actual happiness. And so this book outlines the actual behavioral strategies that psychologists have identified that can bring that happiness. Things like gratitude, social connection, meditation, exercise. Those are the behaviors that in the long run build happiness much more than the number of followers or likes we get on social media posts.
Tim Bono, When Likes Aren't Enough, a crash course in the science of happiness. Thanks for coming in.